What's up, everyone? It's your boy Connor, and welcome back to my channel where I read and talk about books. I'm really excited to announce to you all today that I will be doing my very first ever indie author promotion video. Back during, I think, the end of October, maybe beginning of November, an indie author reached out to me about sending me a PR box for their book, and I thought it would be a really great opportunity to get more eyes on their book and sort of help foster a community for indie authors to make connections, get their books out there, get more eyes on their work. Not to make this about me, but I am personally working on a draft of my own book, and I can't make any promises that it'll ever see the light of day, but I think it would be really nice to have already established myself in indie spaces and built positive relationships with other authors should I ever decide to publish my own story. But I'm not here to talk about my own hypothetical book. That's not what this video is about. Today's video is going to be all about Oath by Kate Butler. I think that the art is very pretty. I really like the mosaic background and everything. I love artwork like that. So I'm just gonna set this book right here. Oh, this is going terribly. I have not opened, I have not seen anything in the PR box. I'm not gonna show the actual box because I don't want to dox myself or the author. Inside the box was the book and, so this is cute. There is a little red ribbon in there that is actually part of the story that, like, the main characters, one gives the other a ribbon and then he, like, keeps it over the course of the book, and it's, like, really romantic and everything, and this is cute. I'm gonna set that to the side. Ooh. There is also a bookmark. I don't know if the lighting is all that great. Honestly, I'm trying my best to get good lighting, but I live in Washington, and it's like winters in Washington is the absolute worst when it comes to lighting at all. So I am so sorry. I super apologize if the lighting is not great for this video. There is, oh my goodness, there's a candle. There's a candle, and it has like the little mosaic peacock on it. Honestly, my boyfriend is going to like absolutely love this because he loves buying like different scented candles. He especially like D&D themed candles, and he likes to buy like candles and burn them, so he will absolutely get use out of this. It smells pretty good. Smells like it might have some vanilla in it. I'm not sure. I'm bad at detecting scents. But that's really cute. I do like the candle. And then we have what looks like a couple prints. So we have a print of the two main characters, Arian and Clyde. So yeah, we have two pieces of artwork of the main characters. That's really cool. That's really cute. Honestly, this is such a cute little box. I really enjoyed that. Like, it is so sweet of Kate to have sent me this box at all. I mean, like, I would have, even if she had just sent me like a PDF of the book, I would have been more than happy with that, and I would have made a video with just that. But it's so nice of her to like send me like all this like a whole promotional thing for her book entirely for free. She absolutely like did not have to send all this to me. I just think that is super sweet of her to have put so much work into all of this. Now, getting to the actual contents of the book. Normally, I would give the disclaimer that reviews are for readers, but in this case, I'm actively working with the author to promote her book, so this doesn't exactly apply to her. However, I will say that the author gave me free rein in regards to this video, whether I loved it or hate it, which thankfully I can say that I don't hate it. I don't really have terrible things to say about this book like I do some of my other videos. While this is not Kate's debut book, I do believe that it's her first fantasy. I did look up her other works, and they seem to be more contemporary coming-of-age stories. So even though this is not her first book, she is venturing into a new genre, so congrats to Kate for branching out. We love a multifaceted queen. I debated on whether or not I wanted to do a full deep dive or just a summary and talk about certain points within the book that I liked or didn't like without giving away anything too spoilery. At the end of the day, I do want people who are interested to go and read this book. And I feel like if I spoil spoil the whole thing, people won't be as compelled to read it. So today I'm just gonna give kind of a general review and kind of talk about certain things that I liked in the book and maybe, like, you know, some of criticisms that I did have. And now that I've gotten all that out of the way, we can finally get into the book itself. He swore his life to protect him. He never meant to give him his heart. Lord Arian Valmont lives behind a mask of wit and cruelty, a beautiful peacock raised in a cage of power and expectation. He knows how to charm, how to cut, how to survive, but not how to be loved. Sir Clyde of Blackholt is the king's hound, a soldier forged in war, sent to guard the lord he neither understands nor trusts. His duty is simple: keep Arian safe, keep his distance, keep his heart untouched, but duty and desire make uneasy companions. As whispers of war gather and the walls between them crumble, Arian and Clyde are drawn into a love that could cost them everything. A story of devotion, defiance, and the kind of love that burns brighter than any crown. Oath is an intimate, slow-burn romantasy for readers who believe some vows are meant to be broken. My notes. Let's try that again. Something that I really appreciated about this book is how short it was. I know that that might sound weird to say, but a huge criticism that I have with a lot of books I read is that they're over 400 to 500 pages, but they have very little going on plot-wise. I've genuinely lost count of how many books I've read where I wanted to like them more, but they just felt like they dragged on way too long. You do not have to have a full 400 plus page novel for your book to be good. I would like us to normalize book lengths being appropriate to the amount of actual plot happening. While there is still a plot, Oath mainly focuses on the romance and yearning between Arian and Clyde. Kate didn't try to put in long-winded filler that was unimportant to the plot just for the sake of dragging the story out. The ebook is 228 pages, and it's a much easier read than most romanticises I've read so far because I don't feel like I'm slogging through it just to progress the story. I did really like the dynamic between the two main characters, Arian and Clyde, because they're essentially like tall, silent, and stoic, and then brat. Arian is constantly going out of his way to try and get a reaction out of Clyde because he's used to having that kind of power over people and being able to control a social situation. So it drives him absolutely nuts that he can't do the same with Clyde because this man does not react to anything that he says, and I loved seeing him get knocked down a few pegs because of that. Stay humble, bitch. Something that I did like about Arian's character is that while he is a bitch, he's a bitch who cares very much about things, and he tries really hard to act like he doesn't. Throughout the book, he comes off as this layabout who only cares about drinking and looking pretty, but when it comes to running his lands, he's very fair to the commoners, and he holds other nobles accountable when people are struggling to make ends meet, while the rich are living in excess. Taxes must be raised, droned the steward of the Eastern Fife. If we are to keep the roads secure, the people must bleed, must they? Arian interrupted, the quill snapping from his fingers and rolling across the table. He sat forward suddenly, fingers steepled, his eyes gleaming. Or perhaps the nobility should trim its feasts and tighten its belts. Your lands see more wine than wheat, Lord Halford, yet you would pluck the bread from farmers' mouths? Arian's lips curled, sharp as a blade. I propose we levy the wine trade, not the plow. If you drink half as much as you boast, the coffers will be overflowing by winter. Yes, mama, we love a self-aware queen. Arian is also faced with the pressure of marrying and producing heirs multiple times throughout the book, and I really loved this particular exchange. It was Lord Branville, a gray bearded vassal with fingers heavy in gold, who cleared his throat next. A sharp tongue, my lord, but even sharper would be a wedding band. Your father grows weaker by the day. Valmont needs stability, and stability requires heirs. Arian leaned back in his chair, stretching like a cat across silk cushions. Boredom painted his face. Ah, yes, marriage. The universal cure to all ills. Harvests failing? Marry. Bandits raiding? Marry. The moon turns red? Gods forbid, marry. You'd have me bedding a bride every fortnight just to keep the weather fair. You know, he makes a lot of great points. There was another part that I really enjoyed reading where Arian decides to dress as a commoner to attend a commoner festival that he secretly always wanted to go to. Is that a cliche overdone tropey scene? Maybe, but it's also one of my favorite noble knight tropes, so I will always eat up scenes like that. Reading this part was very funny because Arian is stopping at all these different vendor stalls and he absolutely trash talks their products but then immediately buys it anyway, and I thought that was very cute. You're not fooling anyone, baby girl. We can all tell that you're having the time of your life. I really love when characters' words and actions contradict their intentions and feelings. He's proud and puts a lot of effort into putting on this facade, but at the end of the day, Arion is responsible and fair and kind, despite the fact that he's incredibly mean about it. Meanwhile, Clyde is sort of the image of self-control, and he can read Arion like a book. He never makes comments or passes judgment on Arion, which is one of the reasons it drives Arion up the fucking wall. There's this one particular scene that I really loved reading between the two of them. I believe they're at a party, and Arion is trying to get some kind of reaction out of Clyde, as usual. Oh, come now, not even a twitch? Arion took a deliberate step closer. The perfume clinging to him, sandalwood smoke and sugared fig, rose in a haze between them, rich as heat. Is there anything that stirs you? Surely even stone has cracks. I'm not here to be stirred, Clyde said at last, his voice gravel and iron. You know, I was warned about the silent ones. Dangerous, hungry, boiling under the skin. Clyde's jaw flexed, his eyes never left the crowd. Arion smirked, delighted. Ah, there's a crack. He leaned in so close his lips nearly brushed the shell of Clyde's ear. His words dripped honey and venom both. Would you f me if I asked nicely? Clyde turned his head, not sharply, but with the deliberate weight of a wolf deciding whether to bite. Gray eyes locked onto Arion's sapphire ones. No, he said, his voice carried no heat, no hesitation, not even if you begged. Gagging. Fuck yeah, Clyde, put that twink in his place. Now, I will say that while I did enjoy the characters and their chemistry, there were a few things with the story that I wish the author had kind of gone further into. At one point during the story, there is an assassination attempt on Arion, and Clyde becomes grievously injured while protecting him. This moment was a big inciting incident to push their relationship forward, but it never goes anywhere in the actual story. We never find out who the assassin was or who sent them. It was kind of a one-off incident that leaves a lot of open-ended questions that are never really resolved. After that one attempt, it's never really brought up again, and I do wish that particular story beat had gone more in depth and been resolved, just because I love a little mystery and political intrigue. There is also another plot point regarding monsters plaguing the land. Clyde and Arion at one point become separated because they go to war with another country, as well as face attacks from these mysterious monsters that no one really knows what they are or where they come from. We never find out what their deal is, though. We don't learn anything about their origins or how they can be defeated. That particular topic just felt very open-ended, and the monsters being coupled with the conflict they're embroiled in with the other country felt like it was just a little too much going on. I feel like it could have been improved if the author just focused on one or the other. The monsters were very interesting, but not a whole lot was done with them until the very end of the book, and even then, it didn't feel properly resolved. I don't want to be too harsh about it because this is Kate's first fantasy book, and it can be really difficult to tie everything up nicely. During the time that they're apart, Arion and Clyde send each other letters back and forth, and I actually did like that aspect of the story. Some of these letters were very soft and pretty, and there's a lot of yearning between them, and anyone who knows me knows that I love to yearn. There's a scene where Arion is struggling to write a letter to Clyde, and he keeps burning them because the first one is very scathing and sarcastic, and then the second one was too sincere and vulnerable in how he was really feeling in Clyde's absence. And finally, his third letter is just him saying, "You have no right to miss me first," because it was Clyde's decision to go off and fight on the front lines in Arion's name. There were a lot of moments that I felt really did capture the struggle of long-distance relationships. Soren and I did long distance for, I think, more than half of our relationship, and that kind of thing is extremely difficult, and I do feel like that was it was reflected very well in this book. There was a moment, however, that I didn't particularly like. It was essentially a breakup / time skip type situation, and I'm not really a fan of that trope in books. I don't think it has anything to do with how the author wrote it, because I have read other books with that exact situation happening, like with The Scottish Boy, and I personally just don't like it when characters intentionally sabotage a relationship and then go years without any contact. I'm sure that some people really feel like it adds to the drama, but it's not really for me because I am unfortunately a hopeless romantic and I don't like the idea of breaking up for the sake of drama. That kind of thing just makes me very sad, and I don't like feeling sad when I read. There was also a very small detail that I liked, but a lot of times It's little things like this that I feel like really endear a book to me. At one point during their correspondence, Clyde switches from couriers to messenger falcons because there's an increase in couriers being murdered on the roads and having their mail stolen or destroyed. It wasn't important to the story at all, but like I said, it's the little things like that that really add to the reading experience. It could be different for every reader, but little details like that really tell me as a reader that the author thinks about these little things to put into their world to make it feel more organic. I really only have two major complaints about this book. The first one being that I felt like there was a lot of repetitive purple prose. I personally don't mind purple sprinkled in here and there, but I'm not really a fan of the over flowery descriptions. There were moments where I did like how the scene was described using that type of prose, and then there were others where I felt like it was a bit much. For example, every time that Arion smiles, it's always sharp like a blade, or Clyde is always compared to stone. For me, personally, I feel like that writing works more sparingly. The way I see it, if all of your writing is very flowery, it kind of cheapens those really important moments when you want your words to really evoke strong emotions with your poetic writing. But at the same time, I know people who really love that kind of prose and will write purple out the wazoo, so I think that particular criticism is more of a personal preference than any indication of the author's skill. My other criticism is there were times where someone was speaking about one thing and then suddenly it felt like it was referring to something totally different mid-conversation. I think it may have just been little things that were missed in the editing process, but it did make certain scenes feel confusing because I had to stop and try and work out what's being said and figure out whether I misread something or if there was a mistake in the writing itself. Unfortunately, that is an unavoidable problem that comes with publishing independently. Not everyone has the means to find top-tier professional level editors, and even those who do still have errors in their writing that get missed during the editing process. Despite all of that, I will say that this book was still better than some professionally published books that I have read. Blood of Hercules. The story may have felt weak in some places, but it was clear that Oath was more centered on the actual relationship between Arion and Clyde more than anything else. At the end of the day, I thought that they had better chemistry than most popular romantices with the same formula of female main character who isn't like other girls and the hypermasculine Giga Chad who treats her like shit. I'd say that I'd give this book a 3.25 stars. It was a pleasant and easy read. I liked the characters and certain moments within the story. Overall, I definitely think that there's still room for Kate to grow, but again, this was her first ever fantasy, and even with those criticisms, it was worlds better than some traditionally books that I have read and am currently reading. Also, this has nothing to do with the story, but I just need you all to know how jarring it was to finish this book and then get to the About Author page and see this image. Anyway, that was my review on Oath by Kate Butler. If this sounds like a book that you would enjoy, please go and give it a read. You can buy the ebook or paperback on the Barnes & Noble website or Amazon, and it's also available with the Kindle Unlimited app, which is super great because that's actually how I do most of my reading, is through that app. And that's all I have for this review. I want to thank the author Kate Butler again for reaching out to me and sending me this box. It was just so sweet of her to do that, and I really appreciate all the effort that she put into the presentation of this book because it was just so lovely. Before the end of the video, I just want to say that in future indie promos, I won't be doing individual videos like I did with Oath, just because so many authors reached out to me, like, way more than I had originally expected. So if I did end up doing individual promo videos for each and every book, I wouldn't really be able to focus on my regular deep dives. Either that, or some authors would just be waiting months and months on end for me to get around to doing a video on their books. So in the future, what I'll be doing is recording one video promoting maybe 3 to 4 books where I give a general review like this one. So pretty much like my video talking about the books that I read in a month. Again, I'm really sorry that I can't do individual deep dives of every book. I want to be able to boost indie authors, but also focus on my rant reviews and other book recommendation videos. You know, I'm still relatively new to running a YouTube channel and being more involved in book spaces like this. So I'm still trying to get my footing and find a system that works where everyone is happy and I still get to have fun ripping apart terrible books. Thank you so much to everyone who stuck around, and don't forget to support indie authors like Kate Butler. I hope to see you guys again for the next video, but in the meantime, make sure that you take care of yourselves, and as always, remember to keep it real.